Hey boys and girls, it's Tuesday afternoon and we're going to start our new novel today. I'm excited. It's going to be fun, not sad like a lot of ours have been. Good books, but parts of them have had turmoil. Hopefully this is going to be a fun one. The name of it, I hope you hadn't read it yet, but some of you may have, is The Homework Machine by Dan Gutman. And he's written a lot of books. So you might want to do some research on some of the different books that Dan Gutman has written. All right, so I'm going to start off by reading to you what it's about a little bit, and then I'm going to read the introduction and get started. Meet the D Squad, a foursome of fifth graders at the Grand Canyon School made up of a geek, a class clown, a teacher's pet, and a slacker. They are bound together by one very big secret, the homework machine. Because the machine, code-named Belch, is doing their homework for them, they start spending a lot of time together, attracting a lot of attention. And attention is exactly what you don't want when you are keeping a secret. Before long, things start to get out of control. And Belch, that's the homework machine, becomes much more powerful than they ever imagined. Now the kids are in a race against their own creation, and the loser could end up in jail or worse. Oh, I can't wait. I've never read this book. I'm excited to read it. All right, here's the introduction. Homework Machine by Dan Gutman. Police Chief Rebecca Fish, Grand Canyon, Arizona. Seen a lot of strange stuff going on in 10 years working here. Probably has something to do with being so close to the canyon. Having a deep mile hole in your backyard brings out the weirdness in folks. I remember the time that a gambler from LA lost a bet in Las Vegas, and his friends drove him up here, forced him to parachute into the canyon. Guy almost died. You get all kinds of in this part of the country. The canyon attracts them like flies to dog do. But this recent situation involving the children was one of the stranger cases I ever ran into. We called in everybody who had anything to do with what happened and taped their private testimony for the record. Far as I'm concerned, this case is closed and shut. Let's hope these 4 students learned their lesson. This'll never happen again, that's for darn sure. Chapter 1, and there's no pictures in this whole book, so do you know how to visualize? We've talked about that before. It's when you make a picture in your mind. So as I'm reading, I want you to practice visualizing, seeing it in your mind, making pictures in your mind. All right, this starts in September. That's my favorite month. That's my birthday month. Sam Dawkins, grade 5. The police lady says to me and Brenton and Judy and Kelsey have to each come in separately and talk about what happened. Okay, so here goes. Is this thing on? My name is Sam Dawkins, but everybody calls me Snickwad on account of that's my last name spelled backwards. Dawkins. Snickwad. Okay. Get it? Most kids call me Snick. It's kind of cool. Beats having a name like Booger, Boogerface, or Fart Boy, or something stupid like that. That's crazy. I was new to the school. I didn't know anything. I didn't get kicked out of my old school because I refused to get a haircut. I didn't get kicked out of my old school because I refused to get a haircut. That's a lie. I don't know how that rumor got started. I don't care if you believe me. That's the truth. Anyway, my parents moved here from Oregon. My dad was in the Air Force, and that's why we moved to Arizona. He was assigned to Luke Air Force Base near Phoenix. The bottom line is, we messed up. Stuff happens. We're not perfect. We all feel bad. We won't do it again. What are you gonna do? Throw us in jail? That's my statement. What? You need more than that? Details? Okay. What do you want to know? All right, here's Kelsey Donnelly. I guess she's another one in that, what was that squad called? The kids that got in trouble. I can't remember now. But anyhow, all right. Here's the next person involved in the homework machine. Kelsey Donnelly, grade 5. My name is Kelsey Donnelly. I really don't see the reason why we got to do this. The police lady told me that I have to make a statement in private and tell the whole story of what happened from the beginning in September. Like I'm a creep or something. I barely remember what happened last week. Forget about way back in September. Look, we're sorry about what happened. We were just having a little fun, and it got out of hand. It's not like we robbed a bank or anything. That's my statement. I can't believe I have to spend my summer in this room with a tape recorder when I could be out having fun. Can I go now? So they're all having to give a statement to the police. Judy Douglas, grade 5. Here's her statement. My name is Judy Douglas. My mom works at home, and my dad works for the National Park Service. He cuts down dead trees and does controlled burns to prevent forest fires. The whole thing started because certain people, who shall remain nameless, did some thoughtless things that I don't need to discuss here. This is so unfair. I have almost straight A's, and I'm in the GT program. That's gifted and talented. I would never break the law or do anything dishonest. Things just got out of control. The next thing we knew, we had to go talk to the police. Do you have any idea of how humiliating this entire ordeal is for me? Do you know how upset my parents are how upset my parents were when they found out? And now this is going to be on my permanent record, probably for the rest of my life. If this keeps me out of law school someday, I will be so angry. I'll sue. That's what I'll do. Well, if I get into law school, I'll sue. But if I get into law school, I won't need to sue. Oh, I just wish I could go and sleep and wake up and find out it was all a dream, like it never happened. All right, so we've got Sam talked, Kelsey's talked, Judy's talked. So remember, one was a what on the back? One was a geek, one was a class clown, one was a teacher's pet, and one was a slacker. So I don't know where the other one is. Judy's mom's talking now. My first reaction was that it was discrimination. We are one of the few African American families living in this area. When something bad happens to Judy, I can't help but wonder if it's bigotry at work. But I looked into it, and that wasn't the case. She and the others just did a dumb thing, and they got caught. It's as simple as that. And now they're going to have to pay for it. All right, so now the next one is Brenton Domagachi, grade 5. It's interesting how things happen sometimes. If I line up 10 dominoes and I push over the first one, the others will fall one by one. But if I leave the first one alone, the other dominoes remain standing. Life is like that. The way your life plays out depends on which dominoes you choose to push over and which ones you leave alone. In this case, we pushed over the wrong domino. Can I get a drink of water or something? Okay, so here comes Miss Rasmussen, 5th grade teacher. I was so excited walking into my very own classroom for the first time in September. I had been a student teacher in Ohio, and I was hoping to get a job somewhere in the West, preferably near a national park. I've always been a nature lover, and I wanted to share this with my young people. When I got an offer to teach 5th grade, at the Grand Canyon School, well, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. The Grand Canyon. I had never even been there before. Just think, over the course of 4 billion years, the Colorado River slowly sliced the gush into the earth. I spent hours exploring it when I moved there and took lots of pictures of the layers of rock. The Grand Canyon is like a sculpture created by nature. I was in awe. Making sure it's turned up. Okay. Judy Douglas, grade 5. All right, so Judy's already talked one time, so just jumping around. When I walked into Miss Rasmussen's class on the first day of school, the first thing that struck me was that she was so young. I mean, she looked like she could have been one of the students. I liked that because I figured she would be really enthusiastic about everything. Some of the older teachers who have been teaching all their lives don't get too excited about anything anymore. On the other hand, I was afraid Miss Rasmussen might not be experienced enough to handle some of the boys who can be a problem sometimes. Shame on those boys. Sam Dawkins, grade 5. So I walked into Miss Rasmussen's class on the first day of school in September, and I'm the new kid, so I'm a little nervous, and I don't want everybody looking at me. But they're all looking at me anyway because, well, I'm the new kid, and everybody wants to check out the new kid. I scope out the scene, and it's obvious who the cool kids are, who the dumb kids are, who the smart kids are, and who the dorks are. I could tell in a minute. The class had the usual number of clueless dweebs, pre-jock idiots, losers, brown-nosers, and bullies, just like my old school. But the one kid who stood out was Brenton. You just knew the first time you set eyes on him that there was something different about this kid. Judy Douglas. Brenton would dress funny, with these stiff long pants no matter how hot it was. He always wore a button-down shirt, and sometimes he would even wear a tie to school. Can you imagine? I guess his mom made him dress that way. I hope so anyway. I can't imagine a boy wearing a tie to school on his own. He was actually pretty good looking, but he combed his hair in a really weird way. Like he parted it on the wrong side or something. Once I suggested to him that he would look better if he combed his hair the other way. He just looked at me like I was crazy. Like it hadn't even occurred to him that you could change your personal appearance to look better. Or that it would matter. He probably had so many more things on his mind that he couldn't be bothered with something as trivial as combing his hair. Some of the other kids would make fun of him behind his back, sometimes in front of his back. He didn't have any friends. Nobody seemed to know what to make of him. All right, Sam Douglas, Dawkins is talking now. Brenton just came out and said the weirdest stuff. Like one time he comes up to me and asked me if I know what they made glass out of. I say, no, and he says they make glass out of sand. I say, that's interesting, even though I really don't think it's all that interesting. Then he gets that look in his eyes, and he says they take sand and make it into glass. He says he figures that if they can turn sand into glass, Just about anything is possible. I'm telling you, the guy is different. Kelsey Donnelly. Brenton was a genius when it came to school and stuff, but he was real stupid when it came to other stuff. I remember one time this reality TV show was hot and everybody was talking about it. I mean everybody. And we were all at recess talking about it, and Brenton comes out and says something like, "I never heard of that show." We all just looked at him. It was like not knowing the sun was in the sky. And they say I'm dumb. That's just the way Brenton is. He doesn't know or care about the stuff that normal people care about. We all thought he was a dork. Well, probably Judy didn't, 'cause she's a genius too. Sam's talking again. Most kids at least try to act cool in some way. You know, like they'll all get t-shirts with cool logos on them, or they'll get a cool bike, or listen to cool music. They may not be cool themselves, but they make themselves cool by having cool stuff or hanging around cool people. But Brenton, he didn't even make the effort. Wasn't important to him, it doesn't seem. Here's what Brenton's got to say. Brenton Damagotchi. Damagotchi? Is that how he's talked before, hadn't he? Trying to keep, yeah, he has, okay. Here's old Brenton. What does cool mean anyway? Did you know that Abraham Lincoln once said, "That is cool"? It's true. I looked it up. He said it in his famous Cooper's Union speech. Google it if you don't believe me. I feel that a person can change himself or herself no more than a giraffe can decide it doesn't like having a long neck. It would be easy enough to buy the latest clothes and watch the hot news TV shows and surround myself with cool things, but that wouldn't make me cool. Nothing will ever make me cool. Some people are simply destined not to be cool, and I'm cool with that. If everybody was cool, everybody would be the same. Nobody would be cooler than anyone else. There would be nobody to make fun of. So I suppose I serve a purpose in a weird way. And that's a good way to look at it if you're Miss Rasmussen, the teacher. Our claim to fame at the Grand Canyon School is that we are the coolest school in the Grand Canyon. We're about a half mile from the South Rim. If you've ever been to the canyon, our school is south of El Tovar and near Bright Angel. I think this calls for some research into the Grand Canyon and that area. Anyhow, if you've ever been to the canyon, our school is south of El Tovar and near Bright Angel. We go all the way from kindergarten to 12th grade, and I believe we have the only high school that is in a national park. By September, most of the tourists have gone back to work and school. It gets pretty quiet around here, but it's nice in a way because we have the canyon to ourselves. We've got a lot of great teachers, nice parents, and good kids here. But sometimes, I guess, good kids do bad things. Sam Dawkins, grade 5. Somebody told me that the human brain isn't fully formed until we're about 20 years old. That's why kids do dumb things sometimes, and that's why we're not allowed to vote and drink and stuff. So can you really blame us for the dumb thing we did? I don't think so. Our brains aren't fully formed yet. Miss Rasmussen, 5th grade teacher. Some teachers like to have the desk arranged in perfect columns and rows. In graduate school, one of my professors told me that the children learn better when they work in small groups. I divided the class into 6 groups of 4 kids, and we pushed their desks together in those groups. I had no big plan to put Brenton, Kelsey, Judy, and Sam together, I did it alphabetically. All their names started with D. They called them the D Squad. So that's how they got their name. That's their name. Forgot what it was, but it's the D Squad. D, 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 D. Because all their last names started with a D. Every child is unique, of course. It's necessary to treat them as individuals. Just like me, Sam was new to this area, and he had some initial problems adjusting to the curriculum and to the other students. Judy seemed very studious from the start, and I could tell that it was very important for her to be a high achiever. Kelsey was the opposite. She didn't appear to like school very much. And Brenton, well, Brenton was different. Brenton Damagotchi. It makes no difference to me where I sit. I'll get the same information whether I'm sitting on one side of the room or the other. I don't ordinarily strike up friendships with my classmates. Snick, Judy, and Kelsey pretty much ignored me, and I ignored them. At least in September, it was fine. Brenton's mom's gonna have a say now. He was always different from the moment he was born. I don't think he ever cried when he was a baby, not even once. When he was hungry, he would just look at me with that look that said, if I could speak, I would be saying, I need a bottle. He spoke very clear early. He had no interest in watching television or playing with other children. Instead, he would play chess against himself. He taught himself how to play the piano as soon as he was big enough to climb up on the bench. When he was just 6, he wrote a concerto. That's a big piece of music with lots of notes. Wow. He's a smart boy, creative. Really? And that's what he called it, too. My concerto. I don't know where he got that word concerto from. I still don't know what it means. He was very special. Brenton. I was thinking of starting a club for kids like me who don't particularly enjoy the company of other people. We could call it the Antisocial Club. We could hold meetings and talk about the best ways to avoid other people. But then I decided that the best way to avoid other people would be to not start the club. Kelsey Donnelly. The first thing about sitting at Brenton's table was that you could copy his answers off him. That's cheating. He knew everything, and he didn't care if you peeked at his papers. That's the only reason I got a B in math for the first marking period. I copied off of Brenton. Shame, shame, shame. We don't cheat. We get in trouble. Sam Dawkins. What did I think of the other kids at my table when I first met them? Let me think. First impressions, Judy, stuck up. Kelsey, a loser. Brenton, mutant dork from another planet. I was the only cool one. All right. So, we've got a variety of children we're reading about now. All right, Judy Douglas, grade 5. Oh, I didn't like Snick at all in the beginning. He had really long hair, which I personally think looks terrible on a boy. And he had this very smart alecky, I hate the world attitude. It's typical of boys with low self-esteem, I understand. He struck me as, and I hate to say this, but he struck me as stupid. Kelsey, well, she just didn't seem to care about anything. And I found it very hard to relate to her because I care so much about everything. She and Snick were not the kind of people I would ever hang around. Brenton, what can I say about him? I was in awe of him. I've been in Brenton's class ever since first grade, and he was always smarter than me. I try so hard all the time, and he never seemed like he was trying at all. I was in awe of his natural intelligence. I had never met anyone who was smarter than me. I almost felt like nobody should be allowed to be that brilliant. I never made fun of Brenton, the other kids, the way the other kids did. All right, now here's another kid coming into the picture. Ronti Tiatwanki. I can't even say that name. Whatever. He's going to be called Ronnie for me. My name is Ronnie Tiatwanki. I sat on the other side of the room, near the cloakroom. Why do I have to be here? I didn't have anything to do with it. I never wanted to sit with any of those D-squad losers. Snickwad is a jerk. Everybody knows he got thrown out of his last school. Personally, I loved it when the four of them got in trouble. It took the attention off of me. Kelsey Donnelly. I guess it all started because of homework. Homework sucks, but I do it. It would suck even worse to fail and have to repeat a grade because I didn't want to do my homework. Sam Dawkins. I've always been anti-homework. Imagine that. And I'll tell you why. We work all day at school. Then finally 3 o'clock comes and we have to go home. And what do we have to do at home? More schoolwork. It's not fair. When I get home from school, my brain needs a rest. I want to hang out and watch some TV or play some video games. Homework is like punishment. You get just what... Homework is just punishment you get just for being a kid. Is that the way you feel about homework? I didn't get much homework this year. Miss Rasmussen. I came across a worksheet titled The 10 Commandments of Homework. I made a copy for everyone in class. For their first homework assignment of the year, I asked everyone to write his or her feelings about it. Here's the 10 Commandments of homework. Number 1, homework is an essential part of learning. Agree or disagree? 2, not doing your homework because you do not believe in homework is self-defeating behavior. Number 3, keep track of your daily assignments. Number 4, the more you review information, the easier it is to remember and the longer you're able to retain it. Even though you may not have written work to do, you can always review or reread assignments. True. Number 5, it is your responsibility to find out what you have missed when you are absent. I said that all the time. Take the initiative to ask a classmate or teacher what you need to make up. I love that one. Number 6, have a place to study that works for you, one that is free from distractions. Be honest with yourself about how well you study when the TV or stereo is playing. Number 7 commandment, make sure you have everything you need before you begin to work. Number 8, develop a schedule you can follow. Number 9, be rested when you study. It is okay to study for short blocks of time. Marathon study sessions may be self-defeating. Study for 30 to 40 minutes at a time, then take a 5 to 10 minute break. Estimate the amount of time it will take to do an assignment and plan your break time accordingly. Well, these are a lot of commandments and rules for homework. Number 10, prioritize your homework so that you begin with the most important assignment first. For instance, study for a test and then do the daily assignment. That was the 10 Commandments. Okay, now Sam Dawkins is going to reply. Miss R gave us this dumb assignment to write about those 10 commandments of homework. This is what I turned in. Number 1, this is Snickwad's 10 Commandments of homework. We live in a democracy where we have freedom, right? We're entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So how can I pursue happiness if I have to spend every night doing homework? Homework is cruel, totalitarian punishment created by grown-ups to take away the freedoms of the poor, defenseless children. I like that one's funny. Number 2, nobody ever saved a life, won a war, stopped a crisis, or cured a disease while they were doing homework. Think of all the good things we could be accomplishing if we didn't have to spend so much time doing homework. Number 3, doing homework causes eye strain, fatigue, insomnia, and other physical ailments. So this is a student's come back to his teacher about homework. Hold on. This light is too bright now. Okay. That's a little better. All right, where were we? Thomas Edison went to school for 4 months. He never did any homework and look how he turned out. Thomas Edison was a great inventor. Do you know what he invented? Google it and find out. There's a name for working without getting paid. It's called slavery, and it was banned during the Civil War. If kids are forced to do homework, they should be paid. He's great. Number 6, homework is proof of teacher competence. If a teacher is any good, students would learn the stuff in school and wouldn't have to learn it again at home. Lord, now it's the teacher's fault. Number 7, doing homework wastes valuable natural resources. We have to use lots of energy to keep all those light bulbs burning. We have to cut down trees to make paper and pencils. We save a lot of energy by banning homework. Snickwood's number 8. I keep hearing that American kids are way too fat, and that's because we don't get enough exercise. For every minute kids are doing homework, they are getting fatter. Kids should be outside running around and getting exercise, not inside doing worksheets. Number 9, virtually every known murderer, bank robber, and criminal did homework when they were children. How can we be so sure homework didn't cause the criminal behavior? I love it. Number 10, homework sucks. There should be a constitutional amendment banning it. I love it. Miss Rasmussen, 5th grade teacher. I didn't like what Sam wrote, but I gave him a B for using his creativity. He was creative. Sam's mom. We've had to move around a lot, and Sam never got to stay in one school very long. My husband was stationed in Oregon, and we liked living there, but Sam was going through a difficult phase, and he got suspended from school last year. We thought it would be a good idea to move and get a fresh start somewhere else. There's an Air Force base near Phoenix. My husband requested a transfer, and that's what brought us here. That was before the war broke out, of course. Back in Oregon, Sam simply refused to get a haircut, and he refused to do his homework. We couldn't do anything to help him. What are you supposed to do? Strap your child to a chair and whoop him? Whip him? Kids reach an age when they naturally become defiant. That's what she's saying. So we made a deal with Sam. He didn't have to get a haircut if he would do his homework. We figured that homework was more important than hair. When it comes to raising kids, you have to choose your battles. His hair looked horrible, but at least he was doing his homework. Judy Douglas. Okay, I admit it. I like homework. Kids make fun of me and all, but I think it's necessary and a part of our education. Homework reinforces what we learn in school each day. My friends and I used to go over to each other's houses and do our homework together. It was fun. It was a social thing. I always thought SNCC made a big deal out of nothing. It's just homework. Miss Rasmussen. Compared to other teachers, I don't even really assign that much homework. I give the students about 45 minutes a night. That's it. It was a lot different when I was a child. I remember spending hours every night doing homework. I practically lived in the library. I never complained. Back in those days, if you didn't do your homework or you misbehaved, you might get a yardstick wrapped against your knuckles. That's right. Today, of course, we don't do that. Then again, I'd say the kids aren't as motivated these days either. We study a lot about Arizona history and geography of the western United States in 5th grade, so we devote a lot of time to that. We also cover the solar system, explorers, things like that. I thought the kids would like it. The homework isn't hard. All right, Sam Dawkins. So one day back in September, Miss Rasmussen passes out our homework assignment just as the bell rings. I'm in a bad mood because it's been a long day and I just don't feel like going home to do more schoolwork. You know what I mean? I looked over at Brenton. He sticks the homework assignment in his backpack like it doesn't bother him a bit. You know, you could give him 10 hours of homework and he'd be perfectly happy. The kid is like a human computer. So I started in on him, saying he probably spends all his free time doing homework. And he says something like, in his voice like, well, no, actually I don't spend any time at all doing homework. Say what? I asked him if he got a brother or sister who does his homework for him. That would be a sweet deal, right? He says no. He says he invented a machine that does his homework for him. I said, get out of town. That's the first I heard of the homework machine. Brenton Damagachi. It was a mistake on my part. I allowed my emotions to govern my behavior. But I have never understood why average and under-average students feel a necessity to poke fun at those of us who work hard and do well in school. If anything, it should be the other way around. I suppose I didn't appreciate SNCC making fun of me, but it was a fatal blunder on my part to have told him about the homework machine. I accept full responsibility. The Homework Machine, Chapter 1. To be continued tomorrow. Adios.